Welcome to Under the Fig Tree podcast from the Enrollment Office at Concordia Seminary. Join us as we talk theology and life under the fig tree.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Under the Fig Tree. I'm your host, Pastor Tom Schlund.
And I'm your other host, Kati Gaschler.
You've done this before?
No, first time.
Back at it after a little bit of a break in recording these episodes. But we're glad that you're here joining us and listening. And Katie, good to be back with you for some more episodes.
Always great.
Yes.
We matched today.
We didn't even do that on purpose.
Uh-oh. Oops.
That's
all
right. Makes it look like we know what we're doing.
Yeah. We have everyone fooled.
We try. But we're pleased today to be joined by Dr. Sam Eatherton, one of our newest faculty members. For those who've been listening, we've been trying to introduce our new faculty members and our new staff to our team. And so just a lot of new people here on campus, and it's great for those who are considering coming to campus to get to know people a little bit better. So thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Yep, glad to be here.
How are things going for you?
Things are going well. We had a snow day Monday, so anytime you have a snow day, it's good.
That's exciting. Yes. Yep. You made it through your first full semester here. So
right.
Exciting too.
It's exciting to be here. Yep.
That's great. Well, in the effort to get to know you a little bit better, you want to talk about yourself a little bit and your family and maybe your journey into music ministry. I guess I didn't say what your position was, but maybe you can highlight that for us as well.
Right. I am the cantor here at the seminary and a professor of practical theology. And so I help to teach the worship class to second-year students and direct the music for chapel, as well as concerts and choirs and that sort of thing.
Tell us a little bit about your family and you and kind of what you enjoy doing maybe when you're not teaching, and then we'll start talking about a little bit more about life here at the Sem.
My wife, Lois, and I have been married for 28 years. We have 5 children. The oldest are twin daughters, and they are both Lutheran school teachers here in the St. Louis area. They both teach 3rd grade at different schools. They're both married. Our next daughter is at Concordia, Chicago. She's studying to be a Lutheran school teacher also. And then we have a son who is a freshman at Concordia Seward, also studying to be a Lutheran school teacher. He is in music, choral and band, K through 12 music. And then our youngest daughter, she is a freshman at Lutheran South.
I always feel bad when we're recruiting for the shortage of pastors because I know there's a great shortage in Lutheran school teachers too. But it sounds like in your family you're doing your part.
Right. Yes, we are doing everything that we can. That is right. That is right.
How did you get into music and music ministry and kind of service in the church in this way? Like you mentioned, your son is studying to be K through 12 choral and band. So there's a teaching way in the schools to serve with musical abilities, but you're serving in the church.
Yes. Well, I grew up with music. My parents both sing. My dad plays lots of instruments. And so we were just a very musical family. And I went to Lutheran school where music is an important part of that, had great music teachers in school. So I was growing up with it. And then when I was deciding where to go to college, I had that in the back of my mind, but I really decided on being a Lutheran school teacher. So I went to Concordia Seward with my degree in elementary education, and my minor or my concentration was in music. And I learned to play the organ in college. I figured, if I'm a Lutheran school teacher, there's a likelihood that somebody might need an organist. So I just played piano up to that point. And sure enough, once my wife and I graduated, she has the same program as I do, by the way. She's a elementary education with a music concentration, plays the organ and instruments. At our first congregation, I was 6th grade teacher, and I also taught the music in the school and did the adult choir and played the organ about half the time. So quickly got drafted into doing musical things. And then later on that first year of teaching, somebody came and told me that I was doing the job of that they had 2 people doing before. So that was very nice for them to let me know that. And so then the second year, they let me just do the music, and I gave up the classroom teaching. And so I taught the music in the school and did more of the organ and did the choirs and the handbell choirs and instrumentalists for the church. And so from then on, I've mainly been teaching music in Lutheran schools and being the cantor in the churches. I kind of just slipped into it from the side without intending to be a full-time music, but that's kind of where God led me and where I could use my gifts.
And that's kind of a neat way. I think sometimes people want to have a whole plan laid out and they want to know all the steps along the way, but God gifts us in many and various ways. And sometimes you don't know what that plan is going to be. But when you're willing to use the gifts that he's given you, you find pathways like that.
You got it. Yep. Couldn't have said it better myself.
That's cool.
How many churches have you served in since graduating?
Just 3. We were in St. Joseph, Michigan for 4 years, Trinity. Then I got a call to Zion Lutheran Church in Dallas, Texas, and was there for 20 years. That was our longest time there. And then the last 4 years, we were in Sheboygan, Wisconsin at Trinity Lutheran Church there in downtown Sheboygan.
So a little bit of a change of scenery from Lutheran K-8 schools and cantering within the church to come to the seminary. Can you talk a little bit about, you mentioned the role and what it entails, but maybe talk a little bit more about what it looks like for you to be here in this role?
Sure. It is rather different than what I've done for 28 years so far. And I'm not a pastor. I'm a commissioned church worker. And so it was a little bit different, I think, for President Egger and then John Vicker, our Dean of Chapel, when they're looking for a new cantor, to consider someone who is not already a pastor, because there are pastors out there who are also cantors, who are very skilled in all the things that I do. And so I think that it's quite nice that they were willing to have a commissioned church worker who's an educator, a teacher here, because I think it brings a different, maybe a slightly different perspective to the seminary education. At the seminary, it's probably pretty easy to focus on pastors and pastoral ministry and those specific things, which we need to do because we're the seminary and this is where we train pastors. But to let the pastors and the deaconesses hold before them, there are other church workers as well, and you're probably going to have to work with some of them along the way. And they're on your side, and they're there to help you as you were there to help them as well. It's a partnership in ministry. So maybe that's one perspective that I could bring.
And how different or how similar are teaching seminarians versus teaching 6th graders?
Right. They're very similar. Maybe 4th grade. 4th grade would be a better level. Yeah. Of course, there are a lot of similarities, in education. And I've got to teach all the way down through kindergarten and then all the way through high school and even some college level. And so I enjoy them all. And I enjoy teaching the seminarians. In a lot of ways, they're kind of childlike, but we all have a little bit of that in us as well. But what's really neat is to see how mature they are, because they're usually in their lower to mid 20s, or most often mid 20s, I guess, even upper 20s, and then some second career people who are here as well. And so they do usually bring a maturity in life experience to their education, which is great to see. And you don't have that with 6th graders.
You touched on a little bit the classes that you're teaching. What classes specifically fall kind of in your area? You mentioned worship, I think.
Yeah.
Are there other ones?
The main one is worship this year. So that is a class for the 2nd year students in their first semester. And John Vicker and Kent Burrison are the ones who teach that class. And I've just been teaching several sessions of that where I can bring some of my expertise into that. And so I taught a number of sessions last semester, but really those are the two who are in charge of that class. And I think as we move into next year, we're looking at other classes that I might teach, whether that be electives or classes that have to do with education of teaching pastors how to teach things like Bible study. And so educational specific classes I might have a hand into.
That's a really important part too. It's one thing to know all of there is to know, but to actually be able to teach it to other people is important. And I think sometimes you don't always get as much training in that around here as you
Right.
get training in the things to teach rather than the how to teach. So
And how to teach. If pastors haven't thought about the teaching aspect before, um, this is where they need to learn that they're going to be dealing with children, whether it's in Sunday school or giving chapel messages or children's messages. They're going to have to know how to speak on the level of young people. And then how do you talk to people in Bible study, or how do you communicate in those educational ways? Because, I mean, basically being a pastor is being a teacher.
Right.
You're doing it all the time.
So you mentioned that our Lutheran tradition has a lot of music. How do you see theology and music kind of working together?
Well, in traditional Lutheran form, we know that Luther spoke very highly of music. He said, next to theology, I accord music, the highest praise. And so that's the perspective that I think we're coming from as Lutherans, as a Concordia Seminary. I think that's should be a shared perspective, that music conveys the gospel. And so we do that in our hymnody. We do that in our liturgy, where we're literally singing parts of the Bible in our liturgy, or paraphrases, and all these deep theological truths can be conveyed in music. And so we do that every day in chapel. And that's why we have chapel every day. And there aren't classes scheduled during chapel because we want the students to come to chapel, and professors. And worship life is such an important part of who we are as Lutherans. And music is really such an integral part of the worship. I don't know what percentage it is, but it's well over half of what we do on a Sunday morning is musical.
And the music today in chapel was wonderful. I could put a plug in for the
Praise God.
Yes, we're thankful for your leadership
Yes.
in that regard.
It was Epiphany this
it
morning.
was, yes. And so for anyone who wants to hear chapel, you can always watch the streaming version online just to kind of get a taste for that and to get to hear all the music that is included. I was thinking I introduced you at the beginning as Dr. Sam Eatherton, but we didn't talk about what your doctoral studies were in, or what you kind of studied to earn the title as doctor. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Sure. I did my doctoral program down at Baylor University in Texas while we lived in Dallas. And so it's a doctorate in church music. And my main instrument was organ. So I studied the organ under Isabel Demers, and had some great teachers there. A lot of papers and research and study, but also a lot of playing and music making. And it was a great place to do that.
I was going to ask about like the musical opportunities that students here have, or even maybe members of our community. I know there's different things that go on, not necessarily just for students.
Right.
So could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So there are 3 choirs. One is the chapel choir, and we meet on Wednesday mornings before chapel and then sing for the divine service at 9:30. And that is basically anyone who wants to come and sing. And so we have students, we have staff members, occasionally a faculty member will pop in. We have wives of seminarians and faculty who come and sing too. And so I like to encourage whoever can come to come and do that. And then we beautify the service and sing some of the propers for the day and hymn stanzas and that sort of thing for chapel. And anyone can be in that. There's an auditioned men's choir at Ladamus. Is a lot of people have probably heard of that. They go on tour every year. This year there are 17 men in that choir. It's a great group of guys. We just have a lot of fun together, and then they work really hard and sing beautifully as well. And so we meet once a week for an hour and a half rehearsal, and we'll be going on tour in March during the reading week. And this year we are going to Texas. So we'll sing in Oklahoma and then several places in Texas. So my old stomping grounds, I knew people. So that helped it out a little bit. Yeah. So we're excited about that. And then the third choir is the St. Louis Lutheran Chorale. And that's the one where community members can come and join us. And we sing for several larger events each year, during the course of the academic year. And so we'll meet like on a couple weeknights or maybe a weekend. The rehearsals are structured so that you can come. There may be 4 rehearsals, let's say, and you have to come to 2 of them or something like that to try to accommodate the busy schedules that people have. So that choir has about 60 people on the roster, and I think we usually get about 30 to 40 in the 2 events we've had so far, because not everybody can come to everyone.
Well, and beyond the choirs and the chapel services, there are other special musical events that take place. We have after chapel concerts sometimes. We have the kind of special seasonal evening services.
Right.
You want to maybe talk a little bit more about other opportunities people have?
Sure.
Even if you're not in a choir, you have opportunities to come and hear music being performed.
Exactly. Yeah, there's usually a Reformation concert or service around Reformation time, so end of October. We always do an Advent evening prayer at the beginning of December before all the students leave. And then there's a big service, a hymn festival in March that we do. This year, that's on March 2nd. And then Call Day is a pretty big service, so we have choirs for that. Instrumentalists will play for chapel and for these special services, so we have some really fine musicians. We had a small chamber quartet that played this past fall, 2 violins, a bassoon, and cello. And so one of the cellists is the wife of a seminarian, and then the other 3 are seminarians. And so we try to integrate as many people as we can. We've got a great trombonist out there, and so we just try to work them in whenever they can come play for chapel or for a special service.
Yeah, so the takeaway is whether you musically gifted or just like listening to music, there are plenty of opportunities to be involved. And I get that question sometimes from prospective students who want to know, I've done music all the way through. What can I do while I'm there? And I mentioned some of these things, and then their fieldwork congregations. And St. Louis is a pretty musical city too in terms of opportunities. Are there any other ones that you would recommend to prospective students who are coming in that might not be specifically at the seminary?
You mean other congregations?
Well, just other ways for people to use their musical talents when they're coming as a student.
Yes. Well, of course, fieldwork congregations, if I guess the students can't often join the choir for that because they're usually up front. But, I would just encourage any students and prospective students to be in worship and to maybe open their ears a little bit more to the music, to see what is going on and what is happening, because pastors spend a major part of their lives conducting worship services. It is a pretty huge thing to do, and very important thing. So just to be aware of what's going on with music. There's the American Concordia is a group that they perform here in February. They usually do some more major works by Bach and others. They're also at St. Paul de Pere. They have a performance there too. So that's another opportunity. Several congregations have concert series that take place not on Sunday mornings, so students can go and attend those as well.
Yeah, that started as a thought and it trailed off into a question. So thanks for thanks for taking that.
So now we're going to do Ripe for the Picking or Leave It on the Tree, where we will ask you your opinions on different things. And if you like it, it's ripe for the picking.
Okay.
If you don't, it's leave it on the tree. But you have to pick.
Got it.
Ripe for the picking or leave it on the tree. The Office TV show.
Leave It on the Tree.
What?
I've never seen it.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yep.
That's upsetting.
It's become kind of a theme in our office.
Okay.
And so everyone has been assigned a character from The Office.
Oh, wow.
And it's quoted regularly.
So I would not understand.
If you came in, you might be
in your office.
confused sometimes.
I'll send you some videos, some
Oh,
clips.
good. I'll watch those.
If you're ever bored, that's a good one
Yeah.
to stream.
Yeah, right.
I had the idea
How do you feel about
earlier. It's
Obviously.
right for the
Right for
picking.
the picking.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've probably seen it a couple of times all the way through. And there's a podcast too called the Office Ladies Podcast, where 2 of the main characters have rewatched all the episodes and they give commentary and behind the scenes kind of things. So I've listened to many of those episodes, maybe not all of them. But
That sounds like
Yeah.
something both of you would very much enjoy.
yes, that's
Well,
true.
and if you didn't know, Not that you care, it's fine. But our listeners, some of those people are from St. Louis.
Jenna
Like
Fisher is from here.
Yeah.
Phyllis is from St. Louis.
Yeah. So
she actually was doing voice work in the what's that movie that came out? With all the emotions inside the girl's head.
Inside Out?
Inside Out. I've seen both of them, but couldn't remember what it was called. But they actually came to St. Louis to record her voice because she's not traveling anymore. So,
wow.
Anyway,
cool.
Random, unimportant facts.
That's some great information, guys. Thanks.
You didn't know what you were going to learn when you came. You can throw that in the trash can on your way out. So along the office theme, we'll do office supplies, maybe Post-it notes.
Oh, right for the picking. I use those a lot in music. Yeah, to stick them on my music for reminders of what to do next.
They're right for the picking. All different colors too. All the different colors mean something. So they gotta, organized. Yeah.
They're right for the picking for me, although I get some heat from some people in our office who believe in no paper at all or Post-it notes. So they'll use notebooks, but they won't use anything beyond a notebook.
They know who they are.
That's true. If they're watching or listening, right?
I also had another office supply because I was using one of these the other day, which gives it away how I feel about it. Right for the picking or leave it on the tree. Multicolored clicky pens.
Leave it on the tree.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I enjoyed that one time.
One time.
And that was it.
And that was it. I had
no
my
more.
fill. Yeah.
I'll go. It was a younger time. Like I wouldn't purposely use one.
That's
today.
fair. That's fair.
Although I did find one when I was cleaning at our house that belongs to one of my daughters, I think, like stuffed back behind someplace.
Nice.
But I wouldn't purposely seek one out.
Yeah. They're right for the picking for me, but I have the kind where it's just 4 colors. So it's not one of those huge ones
Yeah,
with
that's
like
hard to
8
hold.
different colors. Yeah. Since I color code my Post-it notes,
I color code the
other
pens,
notes too.
I've gotten particular about the pens that I use in my old age too. That's one of the things that I'm sort of, I don't know, grumpy about. So there's like one pen style that I will use. So we'll keep up with the office supply theme. This is a disagreement that my wife and I have, but paper calendars.
Right for the picking. I still use a paper calendar.
Do you just have one or do you have more than one?
I just have one.
Okay. Right for the picking. And I have more than one.
You keep them all synced though?
Well, I have one at home, and that's what I use my multicolored clicky pen on. And then I have like a day planner thing at the office where I write my to-do list, and then I have one on the wall that's got more stuff. So I'm sure there's a better way electronically, but I'm stuck in my ways.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep doing it.
That's all right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a leave it on the tree for me. I'm very much into my electronic calendar. If it doesn't make it onto the electronic calendar, it's not going to happen.
Well, I use that as well.
Well,
so.
yeah, I'm big into the electronic one. My wife is not. She loves her paper planner, which is fine. Although sometimes she'll ask me, well, I didn't know that was happening. I was like, well, it was on my calendar. We haven't always figured out ways to sync them up. Although I was shocked last week when a notification appeared on this I had tried once to get us into like a shared Google Calendar, and a notification had popped up about something that she had added to the calendar for our girls' dentist appointments in June. She goes, I thought I'd give it a shot. I was like, yes.
Small steps.
Yes. I don't know if it'll go beyond the dentist appointments in June, but well, thanks for being here today. It's great to visit with you and get to know you a little bit better. And we'll pray God's continued blessings on your service here at the seminary. We appreciate and are thankful for all the musical talents that you bring to chapel and worship. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
And thanks to everybody who's listening. We'd love if you like and subscribe and share this podcast so that others can learn more about what's happening here at the seminary. And if you've ever thought about the seminary, go ahead and reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you more. And if you're a church worker or just a member of a church and you've seen somebody who you think would make a good pastor or a good deaconess, encourage them, talk to them, tell them that, and then connect them with us so that we can continue that encouragement and walk with them through that discernment process. So we look forward to talking with you more next time under the fig tree.